This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I am here with Enrico Rivetto, who is joining us all the way from Piemonte. How are you today, sir?
Very well, thanks.
This is, we're trying to work out if we've met before, but this is, you've been to Toronto a few times now, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, that's my second time, but this time is more intense.
Right. So we've just tasted a few of your wines, but for those people unfamiliar with your family's house, which is quite a historied house, would you mind giving them a little bit of a potted history of what you do there?
Yeah, I mean, I represent the fourth generation of winemaker of my family, and my winery is based between two small villages. One is called Sinio, and the other one is Serralunga d'Alba. The entire property is 35 hectares. We have 15 hectares of vineyards, and the rest part are hazelnuts. We have woods and some alternative projects because we have an ambitious project we started in 2015 about biodiversity in the Langhe Hills.
Now, what does biodiversity mean to you, and how did it impact the way you managed your vineyards?
It's a kind of a revolution because if you think that in Barolo region we have practically all monoculture. 99% of the land in Barolo is vineyards, is cultivated by vineyards. So I decided to recreate in my winery one kind of ecosystem. So to plant in the middle of the vineyards or some row between one parcel and another parcel of something else. For example, we planted more than 300 trees like fruit trees, oak trees, willows, beech trees, birch trees. We were planting rows of, I'm talking about kilometers of sage, rosemary, mixed bushes. So that's to have a system more complex. More I have elements in one system, more the system is complex and more rich.
Would it be fair to say that some people thought you were insane doing this because you're in some of the most expensive vineyard sites within Italy for sure, and you're ripping up vines and planting trees and plants and bushes? How does that work?
It works that if you are thinking that I would like to see my winery alive in the real future, not just tomorrow morning, we have to think in a different way. So maybe I can earn less today, but having longer life in the future. And the soil is the most important thing, because we are talking about crew, we are talking about exposure, land, soil, but we have to talk more, I think, about how our soil is alive. More the soil is alive, better our roots of our vineyards feels, and we of course have a better functionality of the vineyards and the quality of the wines, of course.
And of course this ties right into the biodynamic farming that you started some years back.
Yeah, 2015 we started to act in biodynamic, and in 2010 we started to act in organic. But I always say that it's important to do certifications, but the most important certification is in your mind. I mean, it's how you decide to act and to live your life in the winery. Certification are a piece of paper, important, but are not the most important thing.
Now, with you being the fourth generation with the stewardship of this land, how do you feel the wines that you make today differ from those of your great-great-grandfathers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, probably now I'm more closer to my great-great-grandfather, the cultivation of the vineyards, than my father. Yeah, because, going to this biodiversity, this biodynamic, that now this word biodynamics means can mean many things, but in fact it's like the old way of working the lands of more than 100 years ago. So keeping the grass, having wheat, corn, big trees in the vineyards, it's something normal 100 years ago. So probably I'm more closer at that time. But in meaning of wine, of course, it's changing because how we live is different, how we feed is different. So of course also the wine change. We tasted the one experiment with the terracotta today with the wine in amphora, which is of course a very small production, but it's interesting.
What do you think your great-great-grandfather would have thought of that idea?
That's a good question. I think he should be happy. I mean.
Now, Nebbiolo is king in your region, and rightfully so. But you do something a little different with your Nebbiolo, especially when it comes to sparkling. Would you mind telling us a little about that?
You know that Nebbiolo, I think vinify and produce Nebbiolo is a privilege and is a talent. So, and you realize it when you are making Barolo, when you are making Nebbiolo, when you are making a Nebbiolo younger, older, even sparkly, or in terracotta. You understand that you have in your hand, you have a talent. And the sparkly wine made of Nebbiolo, it was something that was quite common in the past, in the 18th century.
Yes,
It was in the 18th century. It was quite common, but after the wars, it was completely disappeared. So, in our way of thinking about the sparkling Nebbiolo, we take just the down part of the grape,
just the tip
of the grape, of the bunch. So that's we use this part because it's more acid part.
Yeah, because they're normally more underripe, right? So
usually we throw away because we would like to have a kind of green harvest and having the upper part, and we do it. But the down part at the beginning of September, we're gonna pick it and make the sparkly wine with 45 months on the lees. So which Metodo Classico quite longer. It is a dosage zero. So I think is also a way of starting to produce a wine who was in our tradition.
Right. And what kind of flavor profile does Nebbiolo have when you make a sparkling from it?
We are always in process to understand what is the evolution. It's very important how long you keep on the leaves. That's extremely important. But let's say that this herbaceous part is still very strong, and that's what I want, because I would like that when you taste my sparkling Nebbiolo, you understand it's come from Nebbiolo. Maybe some people can like, or some people they cannot like, but the important thing is that you understand that's Nebbiolo based.
So another thing that you do, you just mentioned it, is your terracotta experiments. How did those come about?
Okay, the terracotta comes from really a curiosity, because there is this new wave of natural wines, and many of them, they were a little bit difficult for me to understand because they were not technically perfect.
You and me both.
Yeah. So it was like a challenge. So I said, I would like to try. Nobody tried with a Nebbiolo. Of course, with the long maceration. So this is also a challenge. I said, I would like to see. So I bought a terracotta amphora from Impruneta in Tuscany.
In Tuscany?
Yeah, in Tuscany, because this terracotta, the clay is very porous.
Yes.
So, and I did it in 2014 the first time, the 15, the 16, and the 17, I think the last one we made probably is the most interesting in terms of what I had in my mind. But we have to improve. We have a wine with 31 milligrams per liters of sulfites. We don't work so much the wine, because the skins, when you have the skins in contact for so long time, the wine is always alive. So it's preserved from the oxidation. Of course you have a tannins, because Nebbiolo, when you do 2, 3, 4 months,
of course, yes,
you have the extraction of tannins.
But you have a way around that, because
because chemically the chain of tannins and polyphenols are getting longer and longer. So the quality of the tannins are the tannins of the skin. If you have a healthy skin, you have a fantastic wine. But of course, a little bit more rustic, a little bit more. You feel more the dimension of the tannins.
Yes. Now you also sieve out all of your seeds as well, don't you?
Yeah, not for the amphora, but for the other Barolo, especially for the Briccolino, which is our top single vineyard. We are taking out the seeds because we are doing a longer maceration of 2 months. But I would like to have only the noble part of the skin, which are the tannins on the skins. And the seeds, if we can take, of course we can't take them all, but more than half we can take out, and we don't have the astringency and the bitterness. Leading
to a much rounder wine, I suppose.
Of course. But that doesn't mean that it cannot be aged. It just is more, quality of tannins is very high.
Now, we also tasted your Nascetta.
Okay.
That's something quite special, and you were one of the first people to really get back into playing with that, right?
Yeah, Nascetta is the only one white indigenous grape variety from Lange Hills. And, I was excited since the beginning, and I decided to plant on the slope facing north, because in accordance to the old books, because we don't have so many information about the Nascetta, but it was compared with some German Riesling in the past. So when I read that, I said, okay, I plant North. At the moment, I'm the only one of the 50 Nascetta producers who planted North, and I'm really happy of this decision.
And in doing that, you're attempting to retain that acidity in the grape, right?
Yeah, of course, because I think acidity, especially in the idea that I have of the Nascetta, is to keep it more fresh with minerality, with freshness. The acidity is the most important part, and so in North Slope, it's basically important.
And with the idea that it is capable of some quite serious longevity, you normally leave it about a year or so before you release
2 years.
it. Yeah,
I mean,
2 years.
I would like to reach the 3 years. That's my goal before release, because the Nascetta has a characteristic that is considered like a semi-aromatic grape variety. If you smell the grape of Nascetta when it's ripe, it smells like a Moscato.
Right.
But after you vinify the wines, after 6 months, 1 year, all this kind of aromatic flavor fall down and are replaced by more herbaceous, more Riesling oriented. That's what I'm interested in, this side of the flavor and of the vinification. So that's why I would like to postpone the release. So to 2 or even, I hope in the future, also 3 years.
Well, it's nice to see a resurgence of that old grape varietal, and you're definitely instrumental in that kind of wave of people getting back into it. Now, one last thing. I did notice that all of your estate wines are Barolo, or Langhe, but you're in Barolo, and yet you have a Barbaresco. What's the story there?
Yeah, because we are an old winery, so thanks to our grandfather's law, we can vinify also Barbaresco outside of the region of Barbaresco. But I have to tell you more. My cellar is not even in Barolo. It's outside of the Barolo region, because I'm at the border. I mean, I have really at the border who cut my winery in 2 parts. One side is in Barolo, and the other side is in the Nebbiolo region. And my cellar is like a couple of meters outside, geographically outside of the Barolo region, so I can make Barolo, Barbaresco, and all other wines outside of the region.
Very cool.
That's also quite interesting.
Well, Enrico, thank you very much for joining us at the Food Revolution today. Really enjoyed those wines, and thanks for your chatter.
Arrivederci.
Bye for now.